Hey teachers, in this video I'm going to show you how to make instructional videos using Adobe Rush. It's easier than you think, and there are some really cool features that we can use to help students really understand the process that you're demonstrating. Let's get into it. Okay, so I've opened up Adobe Rush here on my computer. If you haven't got it already, you can install it from the Adobe Creative Cloud app. And it's going to ask me to create a new project. So these are all my other projects that I've had working, and here I can browse to some videos to import, and if you like you can use my sample videos. I'm going to start by giving this a name, and this is going to be coffee demo, and in my documents folder I've got my coffee video sample, and I'm just going to start with 3 clips of video here that we're going to add into our project. So one, that's going to add that one first, that one second, and that one third. And this is going to be the first sort of 40 seconds or so of my video. Let's now click create down here. Okay, so it's added those 3 videos into the Adobe Rush timeline, which is down the bottom here. You can see there's my first clip here, which is really long, second clip, and third clip. Now, a couple of things I like to do to set up the workspace. On the very bottom right-hand corner, if you go to this little section here, that's going to open out our control tracks. And so it's showing us that we can hide this video, we can mute it, we can lock it to save our changes. And so that's going to be useful for us later on to see all those tracks. Over on the other side, there's a little toggle that will let you change the way that you can increase the size of your preview window. So you can just drag that up or down depending on how much of your timeline you want to see and how much of the preview window you want to see. Excellent. And look, the last thing that I'm going to do before getting into editing is on my clip here, I'm going to right click on that and expand the audio. I want to be able to see this sound wave a little more because there are some really boring bits in this video where I can see that the sound goes down, and I'm going to cut them out. Okay, first of all, let's look at the first way of editing the video. When I play this video, you'll see there's lots of boring stuff at the start where I'm just getting myself set up. I've set the camera up on a tripod, and here I am trying to get ready.
Hey everyone, in this video.
And I've done a little clap so I can see a spike in the sound there as the sound hits the top. And I can go back to that area where I just have that clap, and I can then hover over the orange bars at the end of my clip, and I can just drag that, and it's going to snap to the blue bar where I've placed my cursor. And so now that's going to start exactly where it should there. Now, if you do the wrong thing, it's all kind of non-destructive. We haven't lost that. If you decide that you want a bit of the boring stuff at the start again, then sure, you can just drag that back out. But I'm going to go back to where I was to make sure that I have still got it starting at the right spot. Here we go. Let's bring it back to the blue line. Perfect. So that's one way of just trimming the ending of a clip. And I'm going to show you another way, particularly when you want to splice little pieces out or add little bits of footage in between. So here's my little introduction.
Jug with just over 1 cup's worth of water.
And then this is super boring. I'm going and grabbing other stuff. We don't need that. So I can see here all of the sound waves are really small here down in this section, and we want to basically cut out that part of the video. So I'm going to bring my cursor over here. I can just preview it and press pause when we're ready. And I'm going to look for when I'm turning away. There we go. And it's just when that sound goes down a little bit there. And I'm going to use my scissor tool to split the clip here. So that's creating a split here. So I've got my intro here, and this one's got the start of a boring bit here. Now I could do what I just did previously and drag that over here and delete it that way. But what I'm actually going to do is just to show you a different way. I'm going to go to where I start again. And I'm about to start speaking here. Look at that, perfect. And I can use my scissor clip again here. And I've got that as a separated little clip. I can move that around in my timeline. If I wanted to move that to somewhere else, I can. That's its own little piece of footage now, but because it is super boring, I am going to delete it. So now let's have a look. Now, I want to cut out a really tiny bit here. So I'm going to use my scroll bar at the bottom. Now you can see this is going to scroll back and forth, but we also can zoom in with this by hovering over and then selecting the circles at the end. By dragging that down, it's going to zoom into the time bar. It's going to stretch that, that timeline out. So now it's really long, but it means I can do a little bit more of a refined edit here. So if I go back to the start of this clip, and I'm looking here, I really want to just cut that little split second out there where it's just a bit of a pause. Great. Okay, now we can go through and we've got all the boring bits cut out there, and we can keep adding more footage as we go through, but we actually want to make this more engaging for the students and be able to see what we're demonstrating here. So at the start here, I'm talking about filling up the jug, but you don't actually see me filling up the jug.
Jug with just over 1 cup's worth of water.
Okay, so we kind of need some visuals to show that. So you could use another piece of video, or you could use a photo. I've got my video over here of me filling up this jug with water, and it's pretty long. All I need is just this part where I fill it up. So I'm going to do a quick little edit on that. I'm going to drag that down here, and there we go. We just got a couple of seconds there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag it above where I talk about filling the jug with water. And what that's going to do is when I start talking about filling the jug, it's going to show the students a close-up picture of me filling the jug.
Just over 1 cup's worth of water, and I'm going to pour
Perfect.
that water.
And so this is a really good thing to do when you're making an instructional video, is to have what's called B-roll, which is that secondary footage that is illustrating what you're talking about. So here I've got some close-up of me filling the jug there, and then I then start talking about filling it into the back of the coffee machine.
Into the back of the atomic.
Great. So again, here's my other section of B-roll here. I'm gonna just trim that down to a part that just clearly shows me doing the action. Great, and then I can drag that over to here, and it's probably still a little bit long for what we need. Let's just trim that down a bit. Excellent, and then we can move that around based on the narration.
That water into the back of the atomic. I'm going to use the simple.
Excellent. So we've trimmed our clips, we've been able to split clips and move parts out, and we've been able to add that B-roll over the top of the video. So we're getting our basic functions in here. Now, the last thing I'm going to show you in this step is to ease some of the transitions between different shots. So if I've got, I'm going to move this here, I'm going to show this cut between two scenes.
And I'm going to pour.
So if it's a bit of a jolty cut between the two scenes, what we can do is add a transition effect. So if we go to our right-hand sidebar that lets us edit elements, I'm going to look at the transitions section here. So when we open up the transition effects, and the most simple, easy one I'm going to use is a dissolve transition, which is just going to fade from one clip to the next. You can also do one that will dip to black or dip to white, or these kind of like Star Wars wipes, but let's have a look at this quick dissolve. And you can see it's just a quick fade. I'll change it into a Star Warsy one so you can just see the effect. There we go. You can change the duration of those clips of those transitions, by just selecting the transition and changing its length. And you can see in the timeline that it will go for longer now. But really, I'm going to change it to a simple dissolve. And it'll also kind of fade the sound between those as well if there's a little bit of overlap. So there's Ghost Me in between two scenes.
Water, and we're going to pour.
And yeah, that's too long. Let's do this. Great. Now I can also apply that to my B-roll. So I've got my B-roll footage over here, and I'm going to have that dissolve in as well. So you can see here.
A jug with just over 1 cup's worth of water, and we're going to pour.
You don't need it on every single cut, but for some of them where it might feel a little bit jolty, using that simple dissolve transition or a fade to black transition can be a nice way of shifting between two scenes. Okay, so the basic functions that we've covered in this video that I want you to practice are trimming the clip by pulling the yellow bar at the start or end to change your start point, remembering that it is non-destructive. You can always get it back. We also used the snip tool to split clips, and we can then delete them or move them around as we need to. We've also had a look at adding B-roll over the top. So as I'm talking through my demonstration, I can add a close-up to help students see what's going on. And of course, we added some transitions just to ease some of those edits. Practice those functions, and then we'll move on to adding some other things like graphics and sound to your video.